In this video, what I'd like to do is take you through some of the configuration settings for the web forms. There's many options that you can use within Drupal so that you can get the form doing exactly what you want. For this video, I just want to go through the very basics so you can get your form up and running. Now, before I go into the configuration settings, I want to draw your attention to the URL. And up there, you can see that there is localhost, which means it's on my laptop, not on your domain. And it goes to Drupal 9, which is the folder where I have the install, but look at the last part is the stace. And I've given that a specific URL alias to show on my laptop. So let's go in and take a look at these things. I'm going to go to Structure and Web Forms, and then we're going to look at the contact piece, and we'll look at the settings. And in here, the first thing you can do is give your form a title, and then just some descriptions that'll show up on the back end. User won't see this part. But following up on what I said about the URL alias, this is where that's entered right here. So we can give that a semantic name that makes sense to you, easy to remember, to link to, insert into your communications for people that you want to come and use your form. There's a number of other settings that you can get to within here, but I'm going to move on because they are not required for a base web form install. So the next part I want to look at is the form section. And in here, there's some messaging. And in here, you can see when you open the form itself, what's it going to say? Well, welcome. And when it's done, when the web form is submitted, what does it say? And then lastly, if there's an error, what will it say? And we've got those all set up right here with some custom information pieces. There's some more information about the form behaviors and what to have within them. You can pick and choose what you want to use here, but none of them are especially effective for our base install. Going to the next part, I want to go to the confirm section. And in here, once this form is submitted, what's going to happen? So in here, you can see that I've got it checked off where it's going to go to a URL with a message, and that will be a specific node that I name. And on this one, it's going to be node 7. So that one doesn't have any kind of alias or semantic description. It's just going right there. It will likely say something like, thank you for submission, your opinion matters to us, etc., etc. But you can do something inline, which means it'll give you a message similar to what this red message means at the top of the screen. You can do something that's modal, and modal means it's going to open a little alert box that'll say thank you. Probably the best one to do is to have a URL with message that you can have it, and then you can guide someone to the next section that they want to go to. Lastly, there is a section here for the confirmation message and what you actually want to let the people say or hear once the form is submitted. Now I'm going to go into the next section on the configurations, which is the email handlers. And in here, you can see there's two different kinds. There's an email confirmation and there's an email notification. We'll look at the confirmation and go in and edit this. And within the email itself, what will happen is you can have a title for the email, some admin notes that a user won't see, and then who's it going to go to? Well, you can go to the user that submitted it, and then you can copy somebody. And for this one, I've got it copying me, but usually you want to put this into a generic email like info@your-company or something else where people will look at it, but it's not clogging up individuals' database or inbox. The other parts that we have from within here is where it's coming from. So if you have a site-wide email, it'll show that. And reply to, so sometimes you'll see in different correspondences that you'll get, it'll say do not reply, or someone doesn't check this email. That's the kind of thing that you want to make sure is in the email address itself in case the other parts aren't read, and you can configure that right in here. And then lastly, what information is going to be in that email itself, and you can see all the different field components that we have listed in this part. We don't need them all to go in there. You might only want to have your name and email and possibly the message. It doesn't have to be anything too extensive, and in fact the users aren't looking for anything other than an email confirmation. So moving out of this part, the last part I want to show you is access. And within this section, what we can do is we can pick who's going to fill out the form. For this one, I've had it set so you have to be an authenticated user Nobody anonymous can come in and do this form, which means no bots can look at your form either. And so I have that unchecked, and authenticated user is checked. So that's who's going to be able to complete this form. And then there's more permissions that are more, I guess, Drupal centric, in that you can see who wants to see your submissions, delete them, and whether you go through the read, write, edit, and delete choices when it comes to permissions. That's usually a little higher end Drupal admin function, but it is for here that you can configure on a granular form by form basis. And that's it. Those are the essentials for setting up your web form. I hope that was helpful.